Geltrude and Company founder Dan Geltrude joins me now. So the question about this rally yesterday, was that a head fake? To be clear, the Dow is down 160, but we should also add that the NASDAQ and the S&P are higher right now.
Yeah, they are. But still, yesterday, I think it was a head fake. You know, I never understand why the market gets emotional. And I think that's what happened yesterday. We should listen to Gordon Gekko. Don't get emotional about stock. But look, they saw the CPI number, right? 7.7%, which, by the way, is still lousy. But it's less lousy than they had thought it would be. So what happens? All of a sudden, the market believes, wait a minute, maybe the Fed will slow down. I don't think so. I think Jerome Powell is full steam ahead, and he plans to overshoot on interest rates.
So you think we're going to get, well, okay, are you in the 50 basis point camp for the December meeting, though? You're at 75?
I'm at 75,
really?
and I know people, and I know people are out there saying 50 basis points. Yeah. I think he's going to go 75 basis points because, again, he is so concerned about missing. What happens if we only go 50 points, right? And inflation starts to inch back up again. He's going to be under enormous scrutiny.
But what would cause that, Dan? If we're looking ahead of December, what would push that? Like CPI, PPI, pick your index.
Well, of course, I think that while they're going to be looking at employment numbers, right, and we're seeing how the layoffs are coming. So, okay, that's the 50 basis point side to say, all right, well, things are slowing down. We're killing off demand. However, I don't think that's going to kill inflation. Why? Because this is a supply side problem, and interest rates hikes are not going to solve that problem.
Interesting. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about what we're seeing in Washington. We just had a big discussion in the last part of the show. Kelly Loeffler, Georgia. Obviously, the balance of power in Washington is at stake, and we don't have any answers yet. But what we know about Congress is that if you look at the House of Representatives, they control the purse strings. And if that's a Republican-led group, even if it is a slim majority, what does that mean for fiscal stimulus and financial stability out of Washington in 2023? And I ask that because let's all go back to all that spending that we had last year and this year under the Biden administration, under a Democrats controlling everything. That is one of the bigger blames we can put on the inflation story.
No doubt about it. I mean, the out of control spending, no doubt was a big part of all this inflation pain that we're feeling now. So if the Republicans can pull this off, even by a slim margin in the House, what does it mean? It means a lot less spending. It means no tax increases. Right? And it really curtails a lot of bad policy that Joe Biden has been trying to put forth. Yeah. That's really what it's about.
He's still going after oil and gas companies, though, and I asked that for a reason because in CPI yesterday, the heating oil numbers, there was a double-digit increase month to month of about, if memory serves, I think it was 20%, or maybe it was higher, but it was 68% year over year. We're just now going into the winter. Americans are going to really be suffering.
We're absolutely going to feel
and not just that, but then we looked at the diesel story as well. That's also projected to go much, much higher. That is your grocery delivery truck that's running on diesel.
Yes, it is. And that's why I said supply side problem with inflation. That relates a lot to, in my opinion, energy policy. If we're going to continue to be against fossil fuels at every level, even though we don't have an alternative, we're going to continue to feel the pain. Everything that goes from point A to point B, goods and services, is using fuel. If you're going to have fuel be more expensive, well, then everything else gets expensive.
Dan, it's interesting how the markets are reacting to that CPI report. I think you're right. I think head fake is a very good way to play it. So, all right, you sound like me in the mornings. Dan, it's good to see you.
Same here, Cheryl.
All right, Dan Geltrude. All right.